My name is David Karuletwa. I work for RSwitch. RSwitch is a national payment processor. It's a payment service operator in Rwanda. I work as a chief operating officer, and I've been there for about 3 years. My background is around banking, telco, and FMCGs. And I'm happy to be in Rwanda to actually perpetuate the financial inclusion efforts that are straight from the government to the public sector. I think I commend the efforts. The ICT CHIM and the Private Sector Fund has really put lots of energy towards financial inclusion, but also supporting the technology firms in Rwanda. And I think with the enabling policy that the government of Rwanda has actually put together, it's now for us, the private sector, to actually take it up and make something of it. I think with the Innovation Fund coming in, with enabling the small FinTech companies, ourselves, RSwitch, are a FinTech company. We've been in existence for about 14 years now. We connected all the ATMs for interoperability purposes, POSs, and recently in 2015 we were able to connect the telcos with banks, so you can do real-time transactions across our platform. What do we want to be? We want to be a regional player, not just a Rwanda player, but a regional player. And I think that's consistent with the vision of the ICT and government of Rwanda, and it just makes sense for business because it's a volume business. Well, I mean, obviously the challenges are there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be paid to do what I do. But it's great to wake up every morning knowing that you can solve those problems. This initiative here is one of those solutions. The talent pool and the solutions that could be cultivated out of such efforts is immense. There are so many developers that are coming out with different ideas, and they call it disruptive, but in a positive sense, because it keeps us on our toes. It makes sure that companies such as banks, microfinance institutions, telcos do not rest on their laurels. They do not rest on their common ways, and some people have named that to be Kodaked in this forum, and that's because if you're not keeping up with the technology and keeping up with being innovative, you will cease to exist. We sit right in the middle. R&D is part and center of what we do every day. The banks, the telcos, they want to reduce costs but still remain productive. And I think what we need to do is make sure that we're offering a value proposition that doesn't only rest to the banks, the MFIs, and the telcos, but at the end of the day, the end user. I think the developers need to think global. They cannot think local, because if they try to duplicate what an Uber did, or a Airbnb did, or a Facebook did, then it's global. So because that's a global product, and it probably has far more reaching propensity than you would. So they have to not only customize for the local market to get them through phase one, but they have to think global. So can their application be used at least on the African continent? So that's home ground. Can it be used beyond? Myself, because we work in a global environment, closely work out of Canada, the US, looking at technology that we can actually customize here using local developers. At the same time, we look at local problems and find if we can find local solutions. And I think that's this initiative here allows for that to happen. So the biggest tip is think local. So you can reach the customers globally, beyond your borders, but you need to be relevant locally to at least achieve the first revenue drive that you would need to propel to the next stage. We have worked very closely with international schemes. We're a payment processor as our core. Both the vendor of our core platforms and also these international schemes like Visa, MasterCard, Union Pay, all of them have different technologies coming up. So the word FinTech is very, it's a big word, because there's financial services and then you have technology that actually drives these services. So one thing I would like to point out is that when you see an M-Visa product or a MasterPass product. We just remain as a back office processor for the banks. But the local solutions that can actually come out of this is with the FinTech world here in Rwanda, is that they can actually customize different solutions for different players. Take, for example, the transportation system. There's AC Group that's doing a very good platform for the tap and go. And then you have Pivot, just to name a few, that has been doing electricity reselling and other services in the bill payment section. And now you're looking at companies that are working with the Rwanda Online. All those are nodes that actually connect to us as a processor. And we stay on the back end, but we're still cognizant of the banking requirements that are very strict, PCI DSS, PADSS, and all the compliance levels, and also regulation from our central bank, BNR. But we still keep the dialogue on R&D with these small fintech companies because they're faster, they're nimble, and they're hungry. So let's not tie them to the ground. Let's allow them to be creative. And that's the core center of being creative, is being creative, allowing people to try and fail. You might fail 50 times, but once you're done, I call it perfection, and you will get there. So I commend them, and I think with the government, if we can put that innovation fund towards sandboxing these fintechs, then we will create a culture of believing that it's okay to fail as long as you keep at it and you start building valuable propositions to solutions that are to problems that are actually here.